2014 has come and gone, but the stories we brought you throughout the year remain. We'll look back at some of them in this half hour.
Plus, we'll talk with a retired St. Paul police officer about his efforts to preserve the memorial of a fallen officer.
Carrie Crotty. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Your Police Report.
2014 is out the door, and I have to say it was rather quick.
It did go by kind of fast.
Yeah, the last thing I remember is getting my camper ready for camping, and then it was New Year's. Weird.
Huh. Jeez.
It's very strange.
Well, we're going to take a look back at some of the stories we've brought you throughout the year, and the people who made a difference in our community. And we're out here near the Bruce Vento Trail, where later we'll be talking with a retired officer from St. Paul about his connection to the Bergeron Memorial.
But first, every winter local law enforcement raised money for the Special Olympics of Minnesota. And in return, we plunge into the icy waters, otherwise known as the Polar Plunge.
We're going to have almost 2,000 people jumping into the freezing cold waters, so we're preparing today to get everything ready.
We were cutting a hole for the Polar Plunge for the Special Olympics and that there. And these guys contracted us to come down because we know how to cut ice and come down and cut them a hole.
What's kind of funny about it is it takes us about 3 days to set up for a plunge like this, and it takes us about 4 hours to tear it down, you know. So it's kind of interesting in that respect. But we do it because we do it for the right reason. It's for the athletes of Special Olympics Minnesota.
Maplewood's team Bacon Bits, made up of Maplewood and North St. Paul police officers, will be plunging later this month.
Last April, 2 Maplewood police officers received a life-saving award after pulling a man from a burning car.
Officers Jason Marino and Clint Abel, 2 very modest officers, reluctantly agreed to appear on Your Police Report to talk about their heroic act.
Police dash cam video shows the car fire and the officers race to save the 23-year-old man trapped inside and yelling for help. Even as the fire grew bigger and the tires began to pop, they still worked to set him free.
They say it's what any officer would have done in that situation.
Your Police Report celebrated 20 years of production in 2014, and it has changed quite a bit over the years.
In this next piece, we take you back to where it all began.
Really happy to be here on our very first show, and we're real excited to be bringing this program to you.
Hello, boys and girls. I'm Safety Pup, and here's today's safety tip. This is the time of year when everybody likes to go biking. One of the most important things to remember is to wear your bike helmet.
Yeah, you know, Sven, I'm getting kind of tired here. How are we going to get out of here? I don't want to miss the first Packer game, you know.
I don't know. We're driving in circles. Which way is Lake Kapelin anyway? The helmet will protect your brain from being hurt. Nobody expects to crash or fall, but if you do, your helmet can protect your head.
That'll be used for supplies that we purchase for the students, including a DARE workbook, the t-shirts that we provide them with at graduation, and some of the other things along the way that we get to them. And then some of the money will be used for training. BO. That's just the BO. You'll fit in just fine here.
With summer in full swing, many Northeast. 3, 2, 1.
Steve, we're running out of lake.
Okay, 3, ready, go.
Explain the concept to Mayor Paul.
Paul who?
The man in the car was very badly hurt. That was a very sad thing that happened. Please, boys and girls, I'm asking you from the bottom of my heart, don't throw rocks or sticks or anything.
Oh, look at that! Safety pump!
Remember me? I'm safety pump. I'm sure it's been a
Oh, hey, Carrie.
Hi. Hi.
Everybody, this is Carrie. Carrie, these are the finalists that
Wait. Everybody leave except you.
But Carrie, you haven't even heard these guys read yet.
Yeah, but we're replacing Steve Hines, right?
Yeah.
These men are clearly too tall to be Steve.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, I've seen the two of you on TV, and you look pretty much the same height.
Yeah, but he stands on a milk crate.
Really? Ooh. Sorry, guys. Congratulations, it looks like you got the job.
One more thing, would you be willing to shave your head? Steve doesn't have much hair either.
Our teacher with the price is right. How much does this gig pay?
Well, nothing. It's public service.
What? I'm outie. Find yourself another hobbit.
That's too bad. He had Steve's spunk, too.
It was so much easier with Carol Nelson.
We can bring her back.
So I suppose we'll be doing this for like another 20 years or so?
Well, maybe you will. I hope to retire before then.
20 weeks?
20 weeks it is.
And then we'll retire.
Then we'll retire.
Perfect.
Well, that'd be so awesome.
That would be awesome.
We're going to take a short break, but when we come back,
We'll find out what a retired officer did to honor a fallen officer. Welcome back. Ramsey County law enforcement officials gather every year to honor officers who have been killed in the line of duty.
in this next story, we talk with their family members about how they want their loved ones to be remembered.
Mike Duzon said, who was a nephew of Joe's and also a police officer, said, "My Uncle Joe's death doesn't make him a hero. His life makes him a hero." Today we gather to honor Sergeant Bergeron and his ultimate sacrifice.
Every time I come to this memorial, I have to chuckle a little bit because it shows Joe with his tie properly affixed to his collar, and I don't know if I've ever seen him with his top button buttoned and the tie where it's supposed to be.
Maplewood Police Department. Joseph Bergeron, end of watch, May 1, 2010.
Everyone loved Joe. Joe was the kind of person that everyone wanted to sit next to. He wasn't a class person. He didn't care how rich or how poor. He was just that kind of person that liked to help people.
We're here supporting the family and remembering Joe, what he stood for, and what kind of a guy he was.
End of watch, January 6th, 1955.
slid on some very slippery road and hit a big boulder when he went off the road, and the steering wheel crushed his chest. That's how he ended his watch.
It was tough growing up without a dad because, other kids that we played with and whatnot all, went to school with and buddies in school time, they had their parents and they were hunting or fishing or going to a cabin or whatever, Well, we didn't have that.
We're not all cut out to be law enforcement, but those that are special.
We have a lot of policemen in our family, and maybe in a selfish way, I don't want anyone to be forgotten. And it's important to pray for those policemen who are out there every day putting their life on the line. And so when tragedy happens, you just don't want people to forget any of them.
As we mentioned, we're coming to you near the Bruce Vento Trail, the place where Maplewood Sergeant Joseph Bergeron was shot and killed on May 1st, 2010.
A dedication was made here, and it stands as a reminder that the community will never forget his sacrifice. Unfortunately, vandals splashed white paint on the memorial in the fall of 2013.
Retired St. Paul police officer and Historical Society member Tim Bradley and Alinda Schwarzbauer, also a member of the St. Paul Historical Society, stepped in to help out.
Tim, you were a St. Paul officer for many years. Can you tell us about your time there?
I was a street cop my entire career. I put on 35 and a half years. My father was a motorcycle cop, so that's kind of where that came from. I enjoyed working on the east side. Most of the time that I worked was on the east side. Being a street cop is where I chose to be because it's hands-on. Mm-hmm. And I really feel that if you're going to step into a leadership role, it's pretty simplistic. Lead by example. I was really fortunate. I loved working on the east side. I have, my heart so much belongs to St. Paul, even though I do venture into Maplewood and I live in Oakdale now, but nevertheless, St. Paul is my roots. I was born and raised on the east side. Harding High School, yay Harding.
Yay Harding.
Yeah, Johnson's okay too. So.
Awesome.
So you're with the Historical Society of St. Paul. How long have you been there and what kind of work do you do?
The chief kind of put me into the Historical Society on an elevator one day. We were going up on the training floor and he said, "Tim, how's your day?" And I go, "Good." And he goes, "By the way, you're in the Historical Society." I said, "Thanks, Chief Harrington." So that's how that kind of came about.
No?
Yeah, so anyway, and if you saw my grades in history, you'd sit here in amazement and go, "Really? All my history teachers in college would be amazed too." But it's an opportunity to understand what happened in the past of the department too, and it's pretty simple. It's to preserve and promote the history of the St. Paul Police Department.
You were still working on the day that Sergeant Bergeron was killed. What do you remember about that day?
I remember pulling into the parking lot at Eastern District. I remember seeing officers bolting out the back of the door, running to their squad cars, exploding their doors open. As soon as I heard the news, my feet couldn't carry me fast enough to a squad car. There wasn't a squad car left in the parking lot. All you heard across the whole city was wailing of sirens. Mm-hmm. It was the most eerie thing that you can ever listen to. And people that were aware that day will tell you the same thing, that the amount of sirens in that, it was just unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the same here in Maplewood.
Yep, absolutely.
Almost everywhere.
You were also present during the dedication in this memorial we're standing in front of. Why were you here?
The bottom line is when you have a tragedy that happens, such as this, particularly with a police officer, and it crosses city territories and that, there's this tremendous loss. If you notice on there, it talks about a peaceful warrior. Joe was the epitome of a peaceful warrior. What does that mean? It means simply you don't always have to use the heavy hand. Sometimes you can sit down, take some notes, look across the table, maybe sit in a squad car and watch some people for a while and come up with a simple solution to a perplexed problem, and without doing it with force. Sometimes it's maybe adding a little bit of humor to a call or whatever. Joe had that ability. My partner, Lucia Robleski, and I, we worked with Joe on several occasions when we had all the assaults and robberies out at Lake Phalen. We sat in the parking lot with Joe and his squad car, and we said, hey, this isn't complicated. Let's figure out how we're going to handle this. And Joe said, yep. And we said, we're going to go to a meeting next week, and the people were really upset. And the first thing we said we're going to do is, we're going to take ownership for this. We're not going to pass it off and say, well, this is a problem with society in general, and this is a problem because the kids aren't staying in school, yada, yada, yada. No, we said, you know what? We're going to identify what this is, and we want you to understand from the get-go in this meeting, because there was a lot of upset people, and rightfully so. We said, this is our baby. You need to come to us. We're going to give you our phone numbers. We're going to take care of this. Well, that really diffused the situation, which is really good. And last time I checked, that's what peacekeepers should be doing, is resolving and taking the fear and making people feel safe in their neighborhood.
Well, just quickly, how did you feel when you heard about the vandalism to the rock, and then what was your reaction, and how did we get to it looking exactly how it does?
We were called by squads immediately because they knew it was our baby. And I remember my first sentence was, well, at least it didn't happen till now. Isn't that sad that you kind of build that into the equation that here's this great monument that was put together by all the citizens. There were no committees on this at all. There was no dollars spent on this at all. No tax dollars, nothing. No planning, hardly any emails, a few hamsters burning arrows in the sky with communications, but that was about it. And yet it came about. But we also knew that with good, there are people that can't step up to the plate and understand that they should just try to be decent people. So you build that into the equation. It was very sad. It made us frustrated, it made us angry. But we know quite clearly it's not the majority of the population.
Right,
it's just a very small part of that. So just smearing a little bit of white paint on there, yeah, we were upset. Would have liked to find out who did it, and you know, I give them a name. They're cowards, but maybe things will change. For Linda and I to just come out here and take the paint and spend about 4 hours, it was effortless. In fact, I think it was really healing for us.
Well, we as the Maplewood Police Department really appreciate all the work you did, not only to restore it, but getting it done in the first place. And
I got to tell you the truth, it was self-healing. I would do it all over in a heartbeat.
Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. North St. Paul police officer Richard Crittenden was also killed in the line of duty. His wife Christine started the Thin Blue Line Memorial Vehicle to represent Minnesota's fallen officers.
A fundraiser for memorial vehicles was held last spring, and as we discovered, Christine has an extended family supporting her. Here's that story.
We're always there to support one another in whatever cause. It's kind of personal to us.
It's been nearly 5 years since North St. Paul police officer Richard Crittenden was killed in the line of duty. But a tight-knit community is remembering him while helping other families in need.
I've heard a lot of, stories about my husband as far as, when I called Rick, he did this, or, I remember him from here. So that's also a healing process. And I feel that in helping other people, you do heal yourself.
Christine Crittenden bought her husband's squad car after his death and wondering what to do with it, happened to cross paths with a retired officer looking for a way to give back.
I was all primed and ready to do something. I didn't know what. And then she had this vehicle that she was trying to figure out what to do with. So that's how it was all created.
The Thin Blue Line Memorial Vehicle honors Richard and all Minnesota officers killed in the line of duty. Christine travels with the car, bringing awareness to dangers officers face every day. Although people have generously donated their time and resources, there's still out-of-pocket expenses. The first fundraiser for the Thin Blue Line Memorial Vehicle will not only support costs of the car, but also extends additional help through a new program, Helping Hands. Ron Kanoki, owner of Advanced Graphics in Vadnais Heights, donated his services to design and wrap both the memorial vehicle and the Helping Hands bus. He says it's the least he can do for Christine.
We're very family orientated, and for what happened to her and her family, I couldn't imagine if that happened to my family. And the bottom line is, even some of my competition, once tragedy happens,
they're trying to profit off of that. That's not what we're all about.
Nearly every table at the fundraiser was occupied by a law enforcement group or nonprofit, a reminder that this community shares in both victories and tragedies.
The whole process has been bittersweet. You know, it started with Rick's death, and I deal with that every day, every moment.
If you'd like to learn more about the Thin Blue Line Memorial Vehicle, visit their website.
Prom marks the 100 deadliest days for teenagers behind the wheel. Near the end of the school year, a group of Hill Murray students reminded classmates the dangers of driving drunk.
It's not very often you actually get to be involved in something this important, like in high school, you know? Right. It's not just handing out a flyer. We actually experienced it for them, and I thought that was cool.
Lunch needs medics right away.
Our prom is this Friday, and we haven't done mock crash in 6 years, and the idea is kind of just to illustrate to the students all of us, the really real dangers of drunk driving.
Lane and demonstrate, all right? He's a .16. Which will also result
really trying to make it as real as possible. We're having our real classmates, not just some random actors doing this. And so I think when they see what the ramifications are of drinking and driving, I think it will really hit close to home. I really hope that they see this and say, wow, I don't want to be that kid. I don't want to put my friends in that situation or your parents.
Burns Avenue.
Okay, in St. Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. Did she live with her mom or dad? Okay.
156.
At one point, the police officers gave me a cell phone to call my parents on, and that was probably the most surreal moment for me because I'm super close with my parents, and just knowing that I was about to have to explain something this serious to them. Like, I know it was a fake call, but for some reason I didn't even know how to start it once they gave me the phone. It was really scary.
I hope that they realize more than ever now just the impact of drunk driving and what it could do. It's really a huge, serious issue that I hope they kind of now have a better understanding of what it might look like.
As you can see, Maplewood Police and Fire were involved as well. Why do you think it's important that we team up with them for these?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is you can talk till you're blue in the face and tell them about drinking and driving in one ear and out the other. If you actually show them the results of what happens when you drink and drive, it kind of hits home with the visual part. So the other part is the connection I can make with students at the school. Since I'm the school resource officer, it helps me bond with them and let them know that they can trust the police.
Sure, great.
We're going to take a quick break, but stay tuned.
We'll have video of Maplewood officials getting iced when we return.
Welcome back. Millions of people took the Ice Bucket Challenge this summer to raise money for ALS.
In our next story, Maplewood officials took it to the next level by making it a community affair.
I talked to Commander Shortreed because he works a lot with the polar bear plunge. So I figured this is just a little bucket of water, so it'll be okay.
The biggest concern for me, aside from a little bit of cold, which I can handle, is messing up my hair.
I think it's really about ALS, and it's a terrible disease that I think a lot of us know people with it, and so it's a great way to raise money and fun at the same time. Some people are really enthusiastic about it, some people not so much.
Maplewood ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. Ready? Oh yeah. I should have picked an end. Oh.
We had Maplewood Mall management staff, we had the mayor and city manager and fire chief and police chief and a whole lot of other people involved with it. And I think that just speaks volumes for people's commitment to work together in that business partnership capacity. So, and we're going to continue to do that.
They weren't the only ones. Carrie and I also took part as well.
Let's get out of here. Where to the money?
Number 2. Trust me, this hurts me more than it hurts you.
You're so baloney.
To all of our fans, all 2 of them.
2 of them.
That's it?
That's cold. I think if we do something like that again, we should use warm water.
Like a hot tub with rubber duckies?
That's right.
Sweet.
Moving on, this past November, a masked man with a gun abducted and threatened a woman in the parking lot of the Doghouse in Maplewood.
The man entered the passenger side of the woman's car and ordered her to drive to a nearby parking lot. He threatened to sexually assault her, but he did not rape her. The suspect eventually got out of the car and walked away. He's described as a white male between 30 and 50 years old with a thin build. This incident is similar to the abductions that took place last February.
Those cases happened in North St. Paul and Maplewood. The suspect threatened to sexually assault both women, but did not. If you have any information, please call the Maplewood Police Department.
From the stories we've seen, it's been a year of education and charity. So in keeping with the theme, here's a look back at the annual tournament, growing bigger every year.
Getting to work with law enforcement every day is pretty cool, actually. They're a great bunch to work with, and especially the ones we do work with, they're all kind of here for the right reasons. They have good hearts.
With the athletes, they're amazing. I mean, they are absolutely amazing. You know, you go through a day and you think of all the bad things that happen. They bring a smile to your day every single time. So it's an amazing concept of just being able to work with them and be with them.
Get up there. No. Man, I've been involved for 31 years. I still compete in throwing, bocce, bowling, golf, and karate. And cooking too.
Once you either participate in an event like this or just hang around the Special Olympic athletes, you are hooked, plain and simple. And there is just no way to escape, okay? So even after I retired, I could not give up helping with this tournament.
They're just nice people, down to earth.
Start next year's golf tournament tomorrow. I mean, so throughout the year, just between the donations, between just keeping things going, sponsorships, it's a year-round event.
Lots of dinero, moolah. Means the world to me. It means that I can compete year after year after year with state.
The 2014 Torch Run Golf Tournament set a record for attendance and money raised. As we mentioned in the story, it's another great event that takes a great deal of planning, so hats off to Mike Shortreed, Steve Hines, and the many other people involved.
Well, those are just a few of the stories we brought you in 2014. We hope you enjoyed looking back, and we wish you the best in the new year.
Happy 2015, everyone. We'll see you next time for another edition of Your Police Report.